For more great retail real estate content, like, share, and subscribe.
And as far as the process, uh, it is somewhat similar to LOI negotiations in that a document is trading back and forth. But the big difference is that it's going to take longer to trade back and forth because it's a longer document, probably, and it's going from lawyer to lawyer. Anything else that is sort of unusual about the process, or anything else to expect? Should you be expecting to read this lease, top to bottom every time it trades?
So first of all, the document that's going to come out is going to be the landlord's form. So you have to know that, and you have to know that while some landlords have started to think about trying to put together a shorter or friendlier lease document, it's really the exception rather than the rule. And so the document that will come out is going to be 50 to 60 pages and typically going to be slanted to the benefit of the drafter, the landlord. So you have to know that your lawyer is going to read or should read all 50 or 60 pages. As I say, if they can, the construction stuff, for instance, is usually in an exhibit. If they can cut off a construction exhibit and send that to a construction consultant, that's helpful. But as daunting as it sounds, I definitely think that the tenant needs to review certain sections of the lease. Generally most leases, Article 1, the very beginning, sets forth all the basic fundamental terms. So your term, your rent, your options, if there's any guarantor, if there's any security deposit, there's usually a use clause, there might be other charges, and so you absolutely want to look at that. You absolutely want to make sure, for instance, if the landlord has agreed that there's 3 months of free rent. Okay, well, where is that? Find that in the lease. And if you can't find that in the lease, then make sure you say to your lawyer, I looked at the lease quickly. I don't see the 3 months of free rent. Whatever the thing is, you should absolutely look at that section of the lease. You should find the sections of the lease that are operational in nature. So hours of operation, trade name, trash, utilities. So again, that's very fundamental day to day. You're going to know it better than your lawyer. I mean, your lawyer is going to be sensitive to wanting to make sure you're comfortable with the hours of operation and giving you some flexibility around trade name. But like, where's the loading dock and how does the trash work? That's going to be really a combination of your lawyer helping you identify the lease sections, but you understand or more likely to understand how that stuff needs to work for your business. Do you need to load, could certain things need to come through the front door, other things come through the dock, whatever. It's all in there. So you want to try and make sure you review those sections. Also kind of during the term maintenance and repair, just to make sure you understand what your obligations are. And typically your obligations are certainly the four walls. Everything inside of the demise premises is likely to be on you. Not structure, not utilities if they're outside of the premises, but you want to make sure you understand that so that you'll be able to deal with those obligations, throughout the term. And then also if you have anything that you've negotiated in the LOI that's very specific and exclusive, a right to kick out if your sales are below a certain level, other use restrictions, any co-tenancies if you're in a shopping center, you want to read those too to make sure that that's consistent with what you think you negotiated in that LOI.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you make a really good point. I can't tell you how many times I've received a landlord's form document and you assume that all of the physical information about the property and how loading works or dock access or whatever is going to be right because the landlord drafted it. But it isn't always. I mean, it could be a form lease that pertains to a bunch of different buildings, but it's all different. So, I mean, truly a basic sniff test of like, is this really what I thought it was? Is helpful and can, save the day.
Right. The fact is you may not have read a lease before and you may feel like, oh, there's so much legalese, I don't even know what I'm reading. But the fact is, it is actually English. It is mostly English, not all of it, but most of it. And if when you read it, it isn't how you understood it when you visited the center or a conversation that you may have had, you should alert your lawyer and say, I read this section and either I'm not understanding it properly or it doesn't say what it should say. And I think you should have confidence to make comments like that because, again, we read these documents all the time and the specifics of the project. So your observations or your concerns as it relates to the specifics, you absolutely should raise it. You absolutely should raise it because you don't want to miss something like that your lawyer probably didn't know about, couldn't have known about, and you do know. So it's part of the teamwork, and you'd like to say, okay, here's the lease. I give it to my lawyer, and I can wash my hands of it. But at least as to part of it, you really can't do that. You can do that for some of it, but you can't do that for all of it.